Greetings aspirants. Today let's look at another topic from the subject environment and ecology, that is plastic pollution. We are very familiar with the word plastic pollution and we read it in our everyday newspapers. So what is plastic pollution? Plastic pollution is accumulation of plastics in the environment. Now these plastics are persistent and they're not easily degradable in the environment. So they become major pollutants and enter into the ecosystems in which all the life forms are affected. Now we can see that these plastics are derived mainly from petroleum products, and hence when they're burnt in open airs or when they're filled in landfills, they tend to pollute the environment and they release toxins into the air, which causes air pollution. And the landfills, when they leach and are not biodegradable, enter into the human ecosystems or animal ecosystems, and they tend to bioaccumulate and hence are a major risk for the human ecosystem. Now, this makes it more important for us for the proper disposal of these plastics. And this improper disposal of lightweight plastics like the polythene covers that we use on regular basis, or the chips packets or the biscuit packets, or the single-use plastic products and packaging material, they form up to 50% of the plastics that we found on the Earth's surface. These plastics have reached the top of the mountains and also in the deep oceans. They are found in the form of microplastics that are even entering the aquatic ecosystems. Now we see that ocean-based plastic pollution originates primarily from the fishing industry. How does that happen? Now, when a fishing nets which are used for commercial purposes are laid on the seabed, they tend to break, or sometimes they tend to leave the fishing nets by mistake in the oceans. And these plastics, these fish nets which are made of plastic, do not degrade and they live in the ecosystem for years to come. And when they break down and become microplastics. What are microplastics? Microplastics are those plastics which are less than 5 millimeter in length. So when they become microplastics and enter into the aquatic ecosystem, they tend to bioaccumulate. That means they do not leave the bodies of the aquatic organisms and they tend to bioaccumulate, and when these fish are consumed by higher trophic animals, this leads to biomagnification of the same. Now let's look at the microplastic pollution. These microplastics are found mostly in exfoliants or the cosmetics and in detergents. And we also find in some of the medicines that we use in the capsules, and they do not degrade and they pass the filters that are there and they reach the groundwater. Now these water are used by humans for drinking, for sanitation, and for all other purposes. So they directly enter the human tissues and they do not leave the system easily. And hence these days we can see that these microplastics are even found in embryos of human body. So we need to understand why this is dangerous, and let's see what are the immediate causes of it. So we can see that marine species ingest and entangle these microplastics and they cause injuries and death in marine organisms. And also this plastic pollution threatens the food safety and quality of human health, and it affects the coastal tourism and also contributes to climate change. Now, these chemicals that are used in the production of plastic materials are also carcinogenic. That is, they cause different kinds of cancers and also interfere with the body's endocrine system and creates hormonal imbalances in human beings and the animals. So they also cause developmental, reproductive, neurological, and immune disorders in both humans and wildlife. So what can we do about it? The first thing is, the best thing to do is to refuse, rethink, restructure, and conserve. That avoid using plastic as much as possible. The second best thing that you can do is to reduce the use or use alternatives and incentives to stop the waste. Next, you can do is prepare to reuse what you have used. So do not use single-use plastics. Instead, reuse the plastics that are there. And then the next important thing that you can do is recycle the plastic materials that you have used, and then regulate disposal. The proper disposal mechanisms are to be used so that they does not enter the human ecosystems and destroy the human ecosystem and pollute them. So today we have seen the concept of plastic pollution and understood the ill effects of it. Thank you.